What's up, Internet? It's Norm here, producer with ATX Event Systems. I have the one and only, the intrepid business development expert, Mindy, joining us today. Mindy, how's it going?
Pretty well. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. It's a little strange being on the other side of the cameras, but we'll see how it goes, right?
Let's see. So we're here to talk to you today about how to monetize a virtual event with a focus on the galas and the fundraising, the conferences, and the live music events. We want to share some of our strategies and tips to help you so that you could navigate your way through the world of virtual events. So hold on tight. Here we go.
First off, guys, this is the time to be bold. Think outside of the box and see this as an opportunity. It may sound cliche, but this really is your time to completely rethink the way you've done your events in the past. Take chances, right? You don't have to go it alone. The people are doing this. A bridge has already been built. They're doing it successfully. Take the 2020 NFL draft, for example. They proceeded with the draft 100% virtually with only a few weeks to implement a successful national event.
Yeah, so what you need to do is you need to set your goals, better yourself, raise the bar. First off, decide early and commit to planning a clear and concise virtual event with an effort focused on growing your audience. If you can do that, then that's exactly what is attractive to sponsors. If you build it, they will come.
Concise, right? Like me on camera, you know I'm gonna be concise. I'm just gonna keep talking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That brings us to sponsorships. Sponsorships. This drives a lot of the underwriting. This allows us to do these big, bold events, okay? So use this time to gain interest and ask yourself, how much money did we raise last year? Take that number in your head, right? Instead of setting an achievable goal at a fraction of that number, use this as an opportunity to try and raise more money. That may sound ridiculous, but it's definitely doable. It may take more sponsors at lower buy-in, packaging sponsors into a multi-year agreement, for example. But focus on the positives when talking to your sponsors. This may involve more outreach, more phone calls, new contacts, more emails, etc. But in the end, it'll be well worth it, I promise.
Yeah, in a virtual event, it's got no limitations on how many people you can reach. Virtual events are recorded and they can continue to live on and provide more opportunities of longer periods of interaction. So keep your price points the same. If you want to grow your audience, then you must be open to the possibility of raising prices as you are able to retain audiences that are engaged longer.
I know that last bit may give you pause. Raising prices, right? But if you want to retain the sponsors you have, you need to be fearless. You know, don't be afraid to go up market. Let them know you're talking to bigger, badder players out there. They're interested in all the smaller events that they weren't able to get out to in person. You know, pivot to a target-rich environment. If some of the folks who've supported you year over year are struggling, just know that a lot of folks aren't. A lot of them have marketing budgets they need to spend, otherwise they're not going to be recouped next financial year, yeah? So just remember, you don't get what you don't ask for. Keep out there, keep in front of them, and keep asking.
That's right. And here's the biggest objection for sponsors right now, and you all know this. They don't get to be a part of the networking and the in-person engagement right now. But you can overcome this by promising them something even more valuable than just in-person events. Give them the opportunity to stay on this year. Not only will they have the option to sponsor the event in the future, but they can sponsor the event like a virtual happy hour or whatever it may be. Just something that'll reach more people than an in-person event. Be creative, package this up and present it to your sponsors to give them that feeling that they're very important and you want to include them on this journey, this very exciting journey together.
I mean, if you can get through it together, whether it's hard or whether it's easy, whether there's speed bumps or whether it's successful, you'll have done it together. And that's only going to keep you close to those folks that you want to stay close to when it comes time to cut another check, right? So, speaking of cutting checks, now I want to talk a little bit about galas and fundraisers. When doing a virtual event, this gives you the opportunity to put more people in the room. We've all talked about this, right? This vastly expands your audience. You can grow a 100-person show exponentially. There's no reason to expect that you couldn't do 200 or 300 people, right? This is very, very different from an in-person event that's limited in terms of how many seats you can get in a room. So maybe your big donors are quarantined, out of state, unable to attend, participate in your event in years past.
Out of the nation.
Right, exactly. They could be in China for all we know, right? So when you pivot your fundraiser to a virtual event, it allows large donors from the past that have been absent to be able to participate again. You can bring them back into the fold, include their distant family, folks that couldn't make it for that fantastic dinner in years past, the ones that saw them and had fear of missing out when they saw it on Facebook or on Instagram. Now they can be a part of this. So think about using your existing attendees as a network to provide even greater reach.
That's right. And then now I want you to take a look at the net versus the gross.
Okay.
So people needing so much fluff, it takes a lot to put on an in-person event. We all know that, okay? But if you can remove all the ancillary costs, food and bev, the venue rental, all of that, and take some of that money and invest in your tech support, you will make more money while raising less money. You may end up with a smaller gross, but with an efficient plan, you could end up with a greater net. When the time comes, and it will come, to have a hybrid event, you will likely be breaking records in terms of fundraising. Think of all the possibilities. You don't need a record-breaking year this year. Virtual galas are able to host auctions and paddles up in under an hour. Retain your top-tier table sponsors by setting them up to host a watch party with a handful of their friends safely in their homes.
I think you nailed something really important. Galas, fundraisers, the ones doing it successfully, they're keeping it under an hour. We're competing with dinner. We're competing with the kids, with school, right? Keep it short, keep it concise, let them get in, get out, cut checks, be really, really happy with what they saw coming away with, right? Okay, so still on galas and fundraisers here, right? But think about this. Because everything is so virtual, there's nothing tactile. There's no handshaking, there's no pats on the back, there's not even a hug for friends and relatives you haven't seen in a while. You planners out there have already thought of this, but I'm gonna reiterate. Send something to attendees they can touch, they can feel. Use instant polls, but doesn't even have to be the digital kind. Let them drive the content or what you might talk about at any given moment. A simple thumbs up or thumbs down in their hands that they can feel connected and participate with what's going on, brings them in, makes them a part of it, okay? Go wild with these kind of ideas. I think they're very, very cool, and they're also very, very approachable in terms of cost. What else? Let's see. It basically comes down to reimagining the swag bag, right?
Yeah,
and this is something planners have been talking about since day one. A swag bag becomes a gift basket and all the amazing things you can do as you sort of re-envision your event. So get excited about those possibilities. It's no longer a hindrance. These are new, refreshing ideas that your sponsors and underwriters can probably get behind. Now's the time to take that chance and throw out a really crazy idea. You never know what's gonna stick, okay?
Thanks, Norm. That's spot on. And so now we want to move on to conferences. So let's say you're going to have one of those, the multi-day conferences with the traditional exhibit booths. But instead of doing a traditional exhibit booth, you can do it virtually. And now is the time where you get to be creative and have fun. You can take a risk and go in with big swings. Propose out-of-the-box ideas that you can show sponsors that you're proceeding anyway. And you've got the cutting edge and the knowledge that your sponsors want to be on this exciting journey with you. Give them something completely unique to keep you top of mind.
One sponsorship opportunity that comes to mind actually could be a roundtable discussion of thought leaders. This is something that was always really valuable in a conference, and yet it didn't have a lasting impact because traditionally this is something that wasn't recorded. With a moderator that can ask the tough questions of this day and age, how people are grappling with those in your industry, this is a really great opportunity to get those insights, ask those really tough probing questions, and not only that, because we're going virtual, it's documented. that can live on, that can be explored, re-explored, and revisited by a lot of the attendees looking to have those same questions answered, okay? So just one idea that just came to me. I really love that. We didn't get a chance to participate in a lot of that as an audiovisual provider because that's usually a closed door thing. Let's open that conversation up and include as many people as possible.
Yeah. So here's the silver lining to all of this. Taking a conference virtual, you can bring in a keynote speaker virtually that you wouldn't have been able to bring in person. Think bigger. Like, you no longer have to fly someone in from out of state, out of the country, hotel, all of that stuff. They can stay safe in the comfort of their own home, and you can access top tier talent. And this is a great sponsorship opportunity for, a household name. You could attach yourself to a household name, giving you and aligning you with the household name.
There you go. Last year, you had Dr. Phil. This year, reach for Oprah.
Yeah.
Okay? Maybe if you're lucky, you fall somewhere in between, you get Dr. Oz, okay? So next up, we touched on galas, we touched on conferences. Right now, I want to talk about musicians. I want to talk about concerts and live events. These are some of our favorite people, some of our favorite artists, what we all spend a lot of our time and money on, or what we used to. These are also the folks that are hurting probably the hardest. Without that tour, without those gigs, they're really, really struggling. So if you're a musician, if you're a manager, if you're a touring act, I want you guys to think about what you can offer a virtual audience that you were never able to offer them in person. Sure, you could charge $75, $150 in tickets. Now you might have to do your shows for free. But what you can give them access to is behind the scenes. You can give them access to you as an artist. Have them into the studio when you record something new. They can see you rehearsing. They can get to connect with you as an artist. This is what your high value super fans really, really want to be a part of, and they will pay for it. So a free ticket for everyone to see the show, but a VIP experience for your super fans can bring in revenue right now for what you're already doing in your downtime, okay? I mean, they will pay top dollar for a meet and greet, a VIP experience, et cetera, right? I mean, if I had the opportunity to talk to you as my favorite audience for 15 minutes, ask you random questions, what have you been doing during quarantine? You know what I mean? Oh, is that your dog in the background? I immediately feel more connected to you, and when you go on tour, you better believe I'm catching every single performance that comes to town. Think about it. All you gotta do is have them in, show them behind the scenes, and you can monetize that right away.
So we've given you some tips, some strategies, but we also want to touch on what not to do, and it's very important. Do not cancel your event. You must persevere and continue with your event. It's not easy. It's not easy. But if you cancel your event, then there'll be someone else there to take over. And then it'll be that much harder to bring your sponsors back to the table. Stay relevant, stay in the game, stay engaged, stay top of mind. And above all else, plan on doing something. Offer something, anything, instead of canceling. Stay relevant, stay top of mind, and maintain constant contact with your clients.
No, that's exactly right. Stay in contact, feel the pulse, get feedback, ask for advice from those sponsors. What do they want to see? This may be the time to be open and honest, to have those frank conversations. Let them know you're planning on proceeding. You're planning on doing it better and coming out of it stronger than you ever were before. That's who I'd want to hitch my horse to. What's the phrase? That's who I'd want to hit. That's the carriage I'd want to hitch to. You know what I'm trying to say. That's exactly who I'm going to be grabbing on the coattails of. That planner who's moving ahead without me regardless. I may cancel a couple of their events, but I see something here I want to be a part of. And event planners, you guys have forged relationships with sponsors year over year, season after season. And in the end, that relationship is more valuable than any amount of money they can bring to bear for a single event.
Yeah.
Shoot them straight, give them the best opportunity when and where you can, and I promise you they're gonna stick it out with you, okay?
Absolutely.
So what else do we have to cover?
I think that's all we have for now. If you have any questions, hit us up at atxes.com. And then did you want to talk about the sponsorship?
Oh, there's a lot sharper, more creative folks than myself that have been poring over this for months. We have some great strategies written up in a deck that just arm you guys with, a lot of outside of the box thinking, a lot of traditional concepts that have been, repositioned for a virtual event. We got tons and tons of ideas and plenty of folks that love to talk with you about what you're thinking, what's crazy, what's achievable, where we might need to dial you back in. But we're here to help. So let us know. Hit us up, atxeventsystems.com or atxes.com if you got the carpal tunnel. We have plenty of information for you guys, okay?
Thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful.
All right, bye. See you guys on the next one.
See ya.